Amazingly, at 8 feet, Glenn performs his crane style flawlessly and never loses his balance.
As Glenn went higher and higher and higher, it became exponentially harder. And what I noticed in terms of the pressure sensors that we had in his feet is that when he got to the top, he would do this motion with his feet where his center of gravity would just kind of rotate about one point.
This is a key secret of balance. Rigidity does not work. Constant, tiny adjustments are vital. But it was even more difficult than Glenn expected.
It's actually really hard to keep your muscles firing without all the lactic acid burning up. And by the time I got to the very top pole, I had already reached a state where my body was a little bit fatigued.
Glenn has passed the balance test, but crane-style kung fu also packs a powerful surprise. These fighters may be masters when it comes to evading attacks, but they're also legendary for counter-striking with a single deadly blow.
When crane kung fu was created, the man that observed it noticed it during a fight between a crane and a large ape, and he noticed that the wings were a very powerful weapon.
In crane kung fu, a strike is not just used with the exterior arms or legs by itself. Again, it's using the power from the ground, translate to the hip, and bring it down on whatever object that we're going to strike.
So it's that whole theory of kind of kinetic linking that you hear about,
Yes.
where the power really does come from the legs but translates up through the arms.
Good.
So is it about power? Is it about speed? What's it really take then for the strike?
A lot of it has to do with the speed and using gravity as well. If you're doing a down strike, you want to kinetically link your power up in a circle and then use gravity to feed it feed it on the way down.
So what kind of damage can you cause with that strike?
You can break people's bones. A lot of the time, depending on the movement, can be used on arms or the clavicle or different muscle groups and cause enough tissue damage to cause nerve damage, and it backtracks from there.
A real crane strikes with its beak and wings, so we want to test the power of a crane-style wing strike.
Cranes' arms or their wings are their powerhouses. They're the things that get them off the ground. That's where all the muscle is in their body.
Most crane species have special pigmentation in their feathers that actually strengthens their wings. To test the power of Glenn's crane strike, Fight Science pits him against an icy adversary. 120 pounds of solid ice. Ice is an unpredictable material and very hard to break, and as it melts, it actually gets denser.
Glenn's going to use his iron arms in the crane form to actually break 2 huge slabs of ice. These pieces of ice are 48 inches long, they're 5 inches thick and 10 inches wide.
The science team holds a sensor on the surface of the ice. This large tech scan pad measures impact, and it will reveal exactly how much force Glenn's wing strike generates.
Okay, Glenn, you ready? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, strike.
Yeah. Wow.
Good job.
That's some tough ice.
The sensors revealed that Glenn crashes through the blocks of ice with 1,500 pounds of force. His crane-style wing strike is equivalent to a baseball bat swinging at 112 miles an hour. A blow like this delivered to the head could be fatal. How did Glenn generate this power? Motion capture technology reveals the secrets of his crane-style strike. As Glenn prepares to strike, his body releases adrenaline, which increases the heart rate, pumping oxygenated blood to the extremities. He raises up on his toes, drawing energy from the ground. He rocks his body weight upward, creating potential energy, which becomes kinetic as he launches downward. Glenn then rotates his shoulder like a crane's wing, turning relatively slow vertical motion into lightning-fast rotational speed. All of his force is concentrated on the end of his humerus, the heaviest bone in his upper body. The results are shattering.
This is the first time I've broken through ice. It's probably the first time I've broken through anything. So I'm happy with the results.
Glenn Levy has demonstrated that crane-style kung fu not only excels in the art of balance and evasion, but it can also end a fight with a single lethal blow. Yet a martial artist who has mastered the speed of a snake and the balance of a crane is still an incomplete fighter. The next kung fu animal style we're testing instills a skill necessary for the superior fighter: deadly precision.
The praying mantis.
Our mantis challenger is kung fu expert Wang Wei.
Accuracy. 爆发力 explosiveness. 时机 timing.
The praying mantis is an aggressive predator that uses its front legs to snatch its prey, with reflexes measured at 25 milliseconds. That's 4 times faster than the blink of an eye. Like the mantis, martial artists use their arms to make lightning-fast strikes. A low stance and swaying movements also mimic the insect. Besides being an expert in martial arts, Craig Reed also happens to be a professional entomologist.
Now, the praying mantis, some of the attributes that we try to emulate is that they are fast, and they are accurate, and patient. We have a difficult combination to live up to today.
The Fight Science team will test this kung fu fighter's ability to deliver a blindingly accurate strike. To find out if he can really fight like an insect, he'll go head-to-head with an army of insects in a showdown of man versus bugs. Inside this plexiglass cage, Wang Wei will have 60 seconds to snatch as many flies as he can out of thin air. Sports physiologist David Sandler knows the odds when it comes to man versus insect.
We talk about how fast the praying mantis is in terms of its reaction time, somewhere in around 1/40th of a second. And humans are, 5 times slower than that, and so you're really going to have to be accurate. This is a really difficult test.
The Fight Science team will measure Wang Wei's accuracy and deft touch, as well as the speed with which he can capture his prey.
So we're going to put markers both on his wrist and on his fingers. So we'll be able to track those markers in high-speed video, so we'll be able to tell exactly how fast he struck. And we're going to see exactly your accuracy based on how many flies you catch. So as you catch those flies, we want you to put them in here, okay? And you're going to have 1 minute.
Our insect wranglers release more than 1,000 flies into the 8x5-foot test chamber.
They're actually just a tiny bit smaller than what a common housefly would be.
Although 1,000 flies seems like a large number, that's less than 3 flies per cubic foot of space inside the chamber.
It's going to be very difficult. I'll be surprised if he gets 1 or 2. But the fly is faster, a human being's reaction time is slower. It'll be a very big challenge.
A fly's reaction time is 1/50th of a second, slightly faster than a praying mantis, but nearly 12 times faster than the average human. Wang Wei will only catch them if his reaction times are far faster than a normal person's. In other words, he'll need to be less man and more mantis.
Are you ready, Wang Wei? 3, 2, 1, go.
At first, the flies seem to swarm around Wang Wei, staying too close to catch. But he turns a disadvantage into an advantage. He begins to use the wind generated by his arms to maneuver the flies into a target zone. His speed and timing improve with each strike.
Is using mantis kung fu techniques.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop.
Okay, good job.
Yes.
Man.
Now, after seeing him do it, does anybody want to revise their guess?
I still have to go with 0. I mean, my eyes aren't super camera speed, but if I still have to say 0.
I'll take a look. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7
That's
flies. in there.
7 more than 0, Doctor.
Stunning everyone, Wang Wei was able to snare 7 flies in mid-flight. By utilizing the praying mantis style, he was able to truly perform like an insect.
We know how accurate he is. Let's look at how fast. We've pulled up the high-speed video here, and I've actually tracked the 2 points. Your wrist was actually going 8 miles an hour, and your finger was going 15 miles an hour.
The speed alone is impressive, but the accuracy is far beyond normal human performance. So how did Wang Wei do it? These are the secrets of the human praying mantis. The fly has a reaction time of 20 milliseconds, whereas a normal human's reaction time is about 250 milliseconds. However, training can reduce Wang Wei's to about 130 milliseconds. His eyes capture the movement of the fly through space, relaying the signal through his visual cortex. His brain then analyzes the trajectory of the insect's flight, calculates where it will be in the next split second, and directs a strike path for the finger to intersect with that exact spot. Fine motor control centers take over, almost instantaneously turning thought into action and a successful strike.
The reaction time of a praying mantis is 1/40th of a second, which is incredibly quick. And you did grab the flies, and I'm very impressed.
When one thinks of martial arts, insects don't usually come to mind, but early kung fu masters thought like scientists and studied how even the mantis could improve the man. But what about one of man's nearest relatives? We share over 90% of our genetic material with monkeys. But how do we compare to them as fighters? Can a man really fight like a monkey? Danny Ilibaka has volunteered to put his body to the test. Danny is a world-renowned free runner who has incorporated monkey-style movements into his training.
The monkey. Acrobatic. Unpredictable. Agility.
The monkey forms are all about agility. It's about flipping and jumping. Anything you can imagine that you've seen a chimpanzee do, this is what the monkey stylist tries to emulate.
And I've always been really enthralled with the fact that these animals are so powerful, especially their upper body strength, their ability and agility, the ability to swing from one place to another, ability to absorb impact and not break bone.
Our test is a free-form experiment to see what stresses monkey-style behavior puts on the human body. And the gear that will tell the tale is the FAB system.
It's called a functional assessment of biomechanics system. And basically what it's going to tell us is a lot of cool information in regards to where Danny's body is at all points in time. So we'll be